I'm taking those pictures here.
Oh, I see. Wow. So that is one right there.
Every year I love to go to the Eastern Apicultural Society, EAS it's called, and I go down there because I like to learn a lot of things about beekeeping and honeybees, and I also like to see a lot of my friends that I see every year. I don't get to see them a lot during the year until I go down to EAS. It's in different states every year usually. A couple of years ago I went down to Pennsylvania and I was hanging out with a couple of my master beekeeper friends, Steve Rapaski and John Zavishlak. And so John had brought some honey that he had extracted from his hives in Little Rock, Arkansas with him. And we started tasting it and we were like, wow, that honey is so good. That's a really unique flavor. And he was letting different people sample his honey and we were all going crazy over it thinking, what is this? What is this? You know, a lot of beekeepers talk about, is this orange blossom? Is it clover? Is it basswood? You know, we all try to figure out kind of where the bees may have gone, what flower source they may have gone to get that flavor honey. And so we were just kind of having fun with it, letting people sample it. And then somebody came up and said, well, see, we're at EAS, right? And so there's a lot of conferences, a lot of workshops going on. We're teaching some and we're hanging out, talking with our friends and experts on beekeeping and all. And somebody comes up to us and says, hey, Dr. Don Coates is upstairs and he's got a workshop on how to pollen source honey. We're like, wow, you gotta be kidding, you know? So we're like, no. And whoever told us that said, if you hurry, you can go up there and catch him. He's having a class right now. Maybe you can ask him if he can pollen source this John's honey to see where John's bees were going to get this great flavored honey, right? So me and John and Steve, we run up there like to the third floor. We get to the door and he's still having class. We're looking in the little window, you know, that we see him in there. There's microscopes and everything and things being shown up on PowerPoint screens. And so anyway, so it was kind of funny. We go in there, we're thinking, you know, that Dr. Coates is going to take this honey while we're waiting and pollen source it, right? And so we after the class is over, we were polite, we walk inside, and if you know me and Steve and John, we're kind of animated, we're pretty, I don't know what the right word, we like to have fun when we're together. And so we kind of walk in, we kind of barged our way in politely, and we were like, hey, you know, John's honey, taste it, it's good, where do you think it's from? You know, you pollen source honey, and that's your expertise. And I think he has written, or he was trying to write a book about it, and we were trying to, his wife was with him at the class helping him, you know, and we were like, you know, is this something you guys could take this honey day and pollen source it? And, you know, Dr. Coates says, well, you know, leave it with me and, you know, maybe I'll get to it in a few weeks or so. And I don't know what we did, but we said the right things. Like, well, that's not something you can do today, is it? You know, you kind of set up to do it, the class is over, and his wife kind of jumped in and said, yeah, we can, you know, we've got things, we can do. Okay, so they said, okay, we'll do it real quick. So I had my video camera with me, so as soon as they gave us a green light, I opened up my video camera, and I just started taping the process of how you pollen source of honey. In case you don't know what that means, it means that all honey is gathered from flower sources that also have traces of pollen in it, pollen from the plant that the bees are flying on. And so in this case, John's honey had small traces of pollen, like all honey does, and we wanted to find out where that was. And Dr. Coates was a guy to do it, and we just happened to fall right into it. So all this video is rough, it wasn't planned, I'm just carrying a camera around. So enjoy this video of me and John and Steve at EAS a couple of years ago in Pennsylvania as we're having Dr. Coates try to help us figure out where John's bees went to gather that delicious tasting honey.
You just have to take your fingers and
Wow, it feels thicker when you're trying to suck it through a hole the size of a pencil lid.
you might have two, I don't know. All right.
So this is what
Put it on here, but as carefully as you possibly can in terms of you don't want any gaps. All right. Good. And then when you have 10 cc's, you don't want any more than that because it'll clog up.
That's hard.
Okay. And then fill the syringe with the water.
All the way up.
And then you can screw that in.
This is my first real, what we call them, maddening class.
Well, I thought this was something I could do at home.
Yeah, with all the parts in your garage.
The covers split and slide.
Okay.
Now, do I
And
need
I'm
to
guessing this is
agitate,
gonna go on there.
Just do it this way. You don't want to shake it because you don't want bubbles to be in there.
right.
Okay, but you want to
Has to be uniform.
well, yes, you want it to mix.
Wonder if you just did this like a. You getting this for TV?
Oh, I don't know. I'm getting it though.
It's gonna be on YouTube tonight.
It's going to be on Dave's website.
Hi.
Correction.
Is this going to make the high fructose corn syrup come out of solution? Separate from my molasses and my
The
artificial
food coloring is
flavor?
mixing nicely.
No,
though.
let's hope we find some pollen.
That's right.
I'll be sorry that we started.
It came from a fructose corn syrup
Alright.
plant.
Well, I bought some
I
pollen at
think
Whole
that's
Foods and I
probably-
ground it up and put it in.
That's probably good enough.
Okay.
And-
Which way does this
and,
go?
Oh,
like
put
this?
that on?
Or is it
This screws on there.
like that?
Oh, okay, I see.
Really?
And now
How
you're-
about that?
Now you're going to just go ahead and.
Squirt it all in the sink?
Oh, so the filter is catching the pollen.
filter is
Oh, the
catching the
filter's in
pollen.
there, okay.
I would do it down low.
What pressure?
Yeah.
What pressure do you give it? Not too
Slow or
much.
fast? It
It's
doesn't matter
Steady.
because the pollen
I
will
think
get stuck in
steady
there.
would be
Steady.
better.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Well, you have a cup of tea, Steve? You want me to squirt the honey into?
Yeah, I wonder what it tastes like.
For our book.
Oh, good,
I'm going to put it in a special place with me at home.
No, it's to get the book going.
Okay.
All
Now
right, now
unscrew.
you take the syringe off, okay? Just lay it in the sink, and then take this off carefully. And
Then
then
it
you're
screws
going
on.
to,
Keep it.
yeah, then you're going to try to take the corner of the, here's the filter guy.
And it just lays right on there?
And yes, lay it right on in the center.
Careful, Steve. Don't cut an artery.
I'm more worried about flicking the filter off
We
into
don't need to
the.
be actually that careful.
Should I dry
It's
your
just-
forehead off? Sponge off your
All
forehead?
right, and then just put it in the center of the slide, there you go.
Okay, now just wash this out, or is this a throwaway?
I'll take care of it. All right.
Hey, look at all that pollen.
It's apple pollen.
Yeah, definitely corn fructose pollen. Oh yeah, you need computers. You definitely can't do this at home.
Wow.
Need a cover slip.
He had one.
Down on the base of the piece there.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't grab.
Here's a whole box of them.
Oh, I was fixing to say right over there is the cover slides.
Okay.
So good.
Now you have memorized the size, shape, and color of every species of pollen known to the botanical world, right?
Boy, I wish. But boy, this is an interesting one.
Really?
Can you?
Nope. I see one.
No, those are bubbles.
Water pollen. Okay, there's.
Oh, check it out. Okay.
Wow, check that out. That is just neat.
And I can,
Zoom in more.
well, I can zoom in more. And I'll
So
take,
that's
May I just browse around for a second?
oh the yellow's the pollen's in?
yes, you got a wide variety, so you,
Well, I knew I did.
or you can't say it's varietal then. There's
Oh,
not a
my
dominant.
variety is urban wildflower blend.
Okay. Urban.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Little Rock.
Yeah, this is.
In town.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there's so much.
Yeah.
Before we go, see these relatively uniform dark spots?
Yes.
Those are the pores of the millipore filter.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
They're 10 microns.
Oh, okay. So that's not particles in my honey.
No, no.
Okay. May I look through your scope?
Well, it's
Sure.
looking the same as
I'll be
here.
careful. I've driven them before.
Should be the same.
It's John. It'd be the same. That's an image of that.
I want to browse around a little.
He's old school. He
So
doesn't-
we don't know off the top of our head.
No.
You have to look at something.
Were you going in further to take a look?
Maybe I'll spend the money on microscopes instead of a hive scale
Instead of a house payment.
or a house payment.
That's snapping a picture of it.
Yeah. So I'm taking those pictures here.
Oh, I see. Wow. So that is one right there.
That's just,
Wow.
was one.
That's crazy, isn't it? Wow. We're like having a frenzy. I found a Steve.